The rain was falling hard, fine like icy needles. The sky, dark as coal, seemed to weigh on Julia's shoulders as she left the restaurant with a soaked backpack and a heavy heart. Her paycheck barely covered the electricity bill. That week, she had only $35, and 2 of them were now jingling in her pocket as coins. It was at the bus stop on the corner that she saw him, a man sitting on the cold pavement, shivering, his shoes completely soaked and his shirt torn at the shoulder. He clutched a plastic bag to his chest like it was a treasure. But what caught Julia's attention the most were his eyes. Not desperate, but like someone who had lost everything. She hesitated. Her bus was coming. But when he tried to stand and nearly fell, Julia ran over to him. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked, already knowing he wasn't. The man tried to smile but could only nod. He didn't say a word, just pointed off in the distance like he wanted to go back somewhere. Julia didn't think twice. She reached into her pocket and placed the coins in his hand. "Go, take the 7 and 12. It stops right over there." The man widened his eyes as if he couldn't believe it. He looked at her hand, then at her face, and cried, silently. Then he turned and walked away, slow and soaked, without saying a word. The next day, Julia tried to forget, but she couldn't. The image of him, lost in the rain, stuck in her mind like a sad song. Until, 3 days later, everything stopped. A huge black car pulled up in front of the restaurant. Doors opened. 2 bodyguards, a man in a gray suit, leather shoes, and a nearly unreadable smile. He walked in and looked straight at her. It was him, the same eyes, but now shining, alive, and disturbingly confident. Julia froze. He sat at one of the corner tables, ordered only a coffee. Every time she approached, he smiled like he knew something she didn't, like he was waiting for something. In the following days, he came back, always discreet, always polite. He never said who he was, but he started asking about her dreams, about what she would do if she had the chance to start over. Julia began to wonder, who was this man? Why did he look at her with such attention? And why did he leave insanely high tips every time he left? Then one night, she found an envelope in the staff locker. No return name. Inside, an old photo of a famous hotel, and his name scribbled in red pen, William Stone. Julia's breath caught. What did he want with her? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any of the exclusive content coming your way. And while you're at it, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know each amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. What did he want with her? Julia didn't sleep that night. She stared at the photo of the hotel with William Stone scrawled across it like a warning. A chill ran down her spine. It was too much of a coincidence. Or was it? The next morning, he didn't show up, nor the next. On the 3rd day, she overheard coworkers whispering in the kitchen. A police car had stopped by early, asking about someone way too well dressed for this neighborhood. Her heart raced. When she returned to the dining area, there was a brown envelope on the counter addressed to her. Inside, a single sheet, a dinner invitation. Location, Penthouse Imperial Hotel. Signed, W. She nearly dropped it. Hours later, she was standing in the restaurant bathroom mirror, trembling hands, wearing the best she had, a simple navy blue dress borrowed from her neighbor. She took the bus with a knot in her stomach. At the hotel entrance, she almost turned back, but something pushed her forward. The penthouse was surreal. Crystal chandeliers, a piano in the background, and him, standing by the balcony, looking out over the city. Julia. he said upon seeing her. "Thank you for coming." His voice was different, deeper, more certain. They sat, talked. He didn't say much. And then, with a restrained smile, he revealed, "I'm William Stone, heir to the Stone Hotel's chain. The night we met, I had just been robbed. I was coming back from a business dinner. No one recognized me. But you helped me without expecting anything." Julia's world spun. She wanted to stand, to scream, to run. But she stayed, silent, stunned. He extended his hand. "I want to thank you. I want to show you what we can do together." She hesitated. Her chest tightened, but she touched his hand. It was warm, steady, real, until... The penthouse door burst open. 2 police officers walked in. "Mr. William Stone, we have a warrant for your arrest. You are being charged with international tax fraud and money laundering." Silence. Julia froze. "This is a mistake," he said, calm but his eyes wide. The officers cuffed him right there, in front of her. He looked at her one last time before being taken away. "Julia, don't believe everything they say. There's something you need to see. It's inside the safe. The code is your name." And he disappeared into the elevator. She stood there, alone, speechless. A safe? A code? A lie? The truth? What had he hidden from her? And what the hell was in that safe, with her name as the password? The elevator doors closed with a metallic snap, and Julia stood there, frozen, hearing only the sharp thump of her own heart. Safe. Code. Her name. She left the penthouse as if floating, feet numb beneath her. Took the bus without remembering the route. When she got home, she locked the door and collapsed onto the old mattress. She didn't cry. She didn't sleep. She just lay there, staring at the ceiling as if waiting for answers to fall from the plaster. The next day, she went straight to the bank listed at the bottom of the invitation. The note was folded and tucked inside her bra. At the front desk, she handed the paper over without a word. The attendant read it, glanced at her with poorly hidden shock, made a phone call, and asked her to wait. Minutes later, a woman in a black suit led her to a small, silent room with a wall full of numbered safes. Safe 143 was already open. Inside, a single red folder. She opened it, and then... Her world collapsed. Inside were dozens of photos. All of Julia. In different places. Going to work, going home, at the grocery store, sleeping on the bus, old photos, newspaper clippings, reports, a file with her name in bold, Target, Class B, contact phase. She was shaking. There was also a letter, bearing the logo of Stone Intelligence Limited. Julia Oliveira, Project Aurora, infiltration successful, emotional connection established, continued monitoring recommended, emotional deviation risk detected. She dropped everything, fell backward, vomited on the floor. Was this an experiment? A test? What was she? A lab rat? In the back of the folder, a flash drive taped down. Julia tore it off and ran. At home, she plugged it into her neighbor's computer. The video started without sound. Shaky footage. William in a dark room, talking to someone. She'll never know. Thinks she saved me on the street. She has no idea we staged everything. Hired the mugger. She was handpicked. Cut. We'll see how far she goes. If she gets involved, we invest. If she pulls back, we discard. What matters is control. Everything is about control. The screen went black. Julia sat there, frozen. Every cell in her body wanted to scream. He lied. Made it all up. The street, the rain, the lost look. It was all a lie? Or... The doorbell rang. She froze, looked through the peephole. It was him. Alone. No bodyguards, no suit, no shoes, sweaty face, red eyes. He raised his hand and held up another folder. Thicker. With her name written in red letters. and then a whisper came through the door. I lied, but not for the reason you think. Julia didn't move. Open the door or not? What if it was true? Or just another trap? Julia gripped the doorknob with a sweaty hand. Her heart was pounding so loud it echoed through the apartment. He was there, with the same desperate face from the rainy night. But now, something more. Something darker. Please, just listen. His voice was low, shaky. She didn't answer. I'm leaving this here. If you don't want to open the door, that's okay, but read it. Just read it. He placed the folder on the ground and stepped back, never turning his back. He slowly descended the steps, staring at her the whole time. Julia waited. Only after she was sure he was gone did she open the door, picked up the folder, closed it again. She sat on the living room floor, legs trembling. Opened it. Inside, more documents. Photos, but not of her. Of another woman. Someone who looked a lot like Julia. She frowned, picked up one of the pictures. The woman was smiling next to William in a garden. Her face, almost identical to Julia's, like a distorted mirror through time. There was a birth certificate, the woman's name, Laura Oliveira. Date, 1987. A chill crept up Julia's spine. That was the year her older sister had died during childbirth, or so her mother had always said. She flipped the page, a handwritten letter. If you're reading this, then he finally told you the truth. I'm Laura, your sister, and I was taken from you at 5 years old. I didn't die. I was taken. My DNA was used in a project. I was the prototype. You, the control. We were both part of something that started long before we were born. The floor vanished beneath her. Julia clutched the letter so tightly she tore the edge. The words blurred. Her body stopped responding. At the bottom of the folder, a black envelope with a golden symbol. Inside, a black and white photo. 2 small children holding hands in a clinical room. On the back, Laura and Julia, 1993. Twin project. She began to cry soundlessly, just air going in and out in gasps, as if the world were coming apart around her. The doorbell rang again. She ran to the door, opened it without thinking. It was a woman. Same height, same hair, same face. She smiled, eyes filled with tears. I thought I'd never see you again. Julia stepped back, hitting the wall. Who are you? The woman reached out her hand. I'm you, or what you could have been, and we need to talk, now, before they find us, because William, he's not what he seems. He didn't fool us. He made us. Silence. Julia felt her legs give out. Down the hallway, fast footsteps, and then a sharp crack. The woman collapsed. Blood. Julia screamed, but no one answered. And behind her, a shadow stepped through the open door. Julia's scream echoed down the stairwell. She dropped to her knees beside the woman, hands soaked in blood. The stranger's, or was she her sister? Eyes were trembling, but still alive. Her lips moved, barely audible. Don't trust. Not him. Not me. Stay with me, Julia begged, clutching her wrist. Stay! But her body grew limp. Her eyes dimmed. Then came the noise, slow, creeping. Footsteps inside the apartment. Julia turned. William. But something was wrong. His face, cut. His eyes, strange, unfocused. He was shaking. Julia. She wasn't supposed to show up. This got out of hand. She backed away, hitting the doorframe. Every instinct screamed to run, but fear locked her in place. You used me, she whispered, more to herself than to him. William shook his head. No, I was used too. You think I'm in control of any of this? This goes way beyond me. Beyond us. She was my sister. He looked at the body on the floor. and for a second something real flickered in his eyes. Pain? Guilt? Or just another act? Before she could say anything else, William dropped to his knees, hands clutching his chest. They're monitoring me. They poisoned me. What? My own security. From the moment I stepped into that elevator, I became disposable. He reached out to her, pleading. In the hotel basement, room C23, go there. Now. Before they erase everything. The tapes, the files, the children. Children. It was all a test, Julia, and we were just the beginning. He collapsed, stiff, onto his side, began to convulse. Foam dripped from his mouth. She ran to the phone. No line. Tried her cell. No signal. A muffled explosion echoed from outside. The building's lights flickered and went out. Julia looked toward the stairs. The hallway now filled with shadows, radios, voices. Someone was shouting orders. She ran to the bedroom, grabbed the folder with the documents, rushed back. On the floor, William wasn't moving anymore, but the woman was gone. The blood was still there, but the body had vanished. A damp piece of paper sat where she'd fallen. 3 words written in lipstick, "Run and remember." Before she could make sense of it, the door burst open. A metallic voice shouted, "Agent 47, located. Termination authorized." And then everything went black. The sound of the explosion still echoed in Julia's ears as the world went dark, but not for long. She woke up lying down, arms strapped by cold restraints. A white light blazed above her, flickering. Her head pounded. She tried to speak, but something clamped her jaw. "She's awake," someone murmured. Julia's heart raced. She saw no faces, only shadows beyond the light. Her hand trembled in its restraint, but her whole body began to fight. "Let me!" She tried to scream, but it came out hoarse. Someone stepped closer, and then she saw. It was herself, or something very close. The woman had the same eyes, same nose, but her hair was braided tight, her expression cold, empty of fear. She wore a white uniform with the golden symbol from the envelope. A badge, Dr. J. Oliveira, Delta Sector. "You're stronger than we expected, even for a production error," she said as if speaking to a lab rat. "What?" "You were an accident, a data leak, a genetic code sent out by mistake. You were created in the wrong place, at the wrong time." Julia choked. "What are you saying?" The woman leaned closer, pressed her forehead against Julia's. "I'm the original. You're the shadow." "This is insane." She gave a faint smile. The twin project was just the first phase. Then came the variations. But only one survives intact through the final protocol. And guess what, sister? The cycle begins again today. An alarm sounded. Red lights flooded the room. The woman turned sharply. "They're early. Get her out of the capsule. Now." One of the guards ran over, pressed something on the console. Julia felt the restraints release all at once. The lights flashed violently. And then everything shook. The ground cracked. The ceiling above exploded in a blast of concrete and smoke. Screams, sirens, gunfire. A hand grabbed hers in the dark. "Run, Julia, now!" It was the sister, the one who had fallen on the stairs. Alive. Bloody, but alive. But "I saw you die." That was another one of the containment copies. They made over 20. Julia tripped over her own feet. The room trembled. More gunfire, more shadows. "You have to get to room C23. That's where the central files are. If they destroy them, it's over. Over for all of us." Julia looked back. Dr. J was still standing, in the middle of the smoke, and smiling. "You really think you can run from the ones who programmed you?" And then, from the top of the stairs, another voice echoed. Deep, familiar. "No one programs what was born to be free." William, holding a device in his hand, and behind him, Two others just like him, one of them bleeding, the other laughing. Julia collapsed to her knees. "What? What are you?" And all three said in perfect unison, "We're what's left of the final experiment, and you're the last piece." Julia stayed there, knees to the floor, body frozen, mind short-circuiting. The three Williams moved closer. One bleeding from the side, another grinning like a maniac, the third holding the device, eyes locked on her. Her sister was pulling her by the arm. "Come on, we have to get out of here." But she couldn't. Her legs wouldn't move. The William with the device stopped 2 steps from her, pressed a button. Everything froze. Her sister stopped mid-motion, eyes still blinking, mouth half open. The collapsing ceiling held in mid-air. Even the smoke hung like a sculpture. Total silence. Only Julia could move. What the hell is this?" "A neural suspension field. Works only on you," said the middle William, his voice strange, metallic. She looked around. Everything still. Everything wrong. "Why? What do you want?" He walked in slow circles around her. "You still don't get it, do you? You weren't just monitored. You were implanted." "Implanted?" He stopped, calmly removed his jacket. The shirt beneath was covered in marks, scars, chips. "Your memory, Julia. It's not yours. None of them. The childhood, the mother, the restaurant. All inserted in 10-year cycles. You've lived this same story 5 times already, and always give a coin to the man in the rain." The floor vanished beneath her again. "No, that's a lie. Do you really want the truth?" He raised the device and pointed it at his head. "Then activate it. It recognizes your DNA. Only you can unlock it." She trembled, looked at the button, then at her sister, still frozen mid-motion, blood on her face, then at the other 2 Williams, frozen like mannequins. "Do it, and everything changes," he said, "but there's no turning back." Julia pressed the button, and the world shattered. Colors inverted. Sound exploded. A piercing hum. She fell backward, body convulsing. The images came like a storm. Labs, children just like her, tanks, screams, codes, dates, cycles. Phase 1, spontaneous empathy. Phase 4, replacement. Her mother was a scientist. William was an actor, one of many. And the sister, she was the original supervisor of the project. The final memory detonated in her mind like a bomb. She herself had signed the papers to start it all. Julia wasn't the test subject. She was the creator. She had put herself in that role, erased her own mind, initiated the cycle. The choice had been hers. The obsession with control had always been hers. The last sound she heard was her own voice, recorded. "If I fail, make me forget, make me pay, and make me start over." The image went black. Time returned. The ceiling collapsed. But now she knew. She knew everything. And from within the smoke, a 4th figure emerged, hooded face, gun in hand, and he said, "Julia EO1, your cycle is over. The next one has already begun, and he is already among us." The hooded figure stepped forward, gun raised. Julia froze. The Williams didn't move. The sister still frozen mid-motion, the smoke suspended, only the sweat dripping from her forehead. "The cycle's over," he repeated. "Time to wipe the line." But before he could pull the trigger, a shot rang out from the other side. Pah! His arm exploded in blood. The gun flew. He screamed, dropping to his knees. Julia turned sharply. It was her, Dr. J, standing, unharmed, a silver pistol in her hand, and a smile that chilled to the bone. "No one ends this experiment without my authorization." The hooded man coughed blood, tried to crawl. She fired again, right between the eyes. Julia screamed, stumbling back. "You killed him!" and he was unstable, cloned outside the protocol. He'd been collapsing since Phase 3. She replied coldly. She walked toward Julia, knelt, locked eyes with her. Do you remember everything now? Julia trembled. I remember. Dr. J gave a slight smile. Good, then let's move to the next step. But before she could say anything else, beep! The device in William's hand glowed red. He looked up. One of the other Williams let out a quiet laugh. Are you sure she remembers everything? Julia frowned. What do you mean? The middle William tensed. The bleeding one looked at her, eyes wide. Julia, you triggered the wrong protocol. She froze. What? You didn't activate the real memory. You triggered Phase E, he said, coughing blood. The substitution phase. Everything stopped. Dr. J.'s eyes narrowed. That's impossible. The William with the device checked the screen, swallowed hard. The activation DNA wasn't from the original Julia. Silence. Julia took a step back. Her stomach turned. What do you mean? Original. The sister, the one who'd been frozen seconds ago, started to move. She came back to life, looked around, gasping, shaking. Julia. Listen, you're not the original Julia. What? You're the substitute, created in the last cycle. The original Julia died in the previous test. This memory, this life, was grafted onto you. You just took her place. Her mind shattered, her legs buckled. But my childhood, my mother, all hers, all from the other one. You're the most advanced copy. You were made to be perfect, to continue the cycle when the original failed. Dr. J raised her gun, and she failed. Pah! A shot ripped through the sister's shoulder. She collapsed backward. Dr. J turned to Julia. No more secrets. But before she could fire, the wall behind them exploded, and out of the smoke came a girl. Short hair, blue jacket, golden eyes. She looked straight at Julia. Come with me. Mom. And then, time stopped again. Time frozen. The girl with golden eyes reaching out to Julia. She could barely breathe. Mom, we don't have much time. Julia stood there, frozen. She could feel the ground vibrating even as it held still. She could feel the air pulling her forward like a magnet in her chest. But something didn't add up. The girl's face, it held more than resemblance. Something was off. A detail. Who are you? She whispered. The girl smiled, a broken smile, and said, voice steady, I'm the daughter you erased. Julia's body locked up. Her legs nearly gave out. She tried to speak, but the words caught in her throat. What? You created me. Then you eliminated me, marked me as defective. But you forgot one thing. She pointed to her own head. My mind saved backups. This doesn't make sense, Julia stammered. I never. Not with this memory, not in this cycle. But in round 06, you were in charge. You're the one who sent me to the disposal chamber. But I got out, and now I'm back to finish what was started. The time field began to vibrate. Its edges shimmered. Tiny sparks flared in the frozen air. Dr. J screamed, She's not supposed to be here! The three Williams began to move slowly, as if breaking through invisible glass. The blood from the one who was laughing hovered mid-air, dripping in slow motion. One of them pointed at the girl. Eliminate. Now. But it was too late. The girl raised her hand, closed her fingers. Everything that was frozen exploded. The ceiling shattered into 1,000 pieces. The sister was thrown across the room. The Williams were torn apart in waves of light. Only Julia and the girl stood in the center of the destruction. Dr. J rose from the ashes, screaming. Half her face burned, her eyes like fire. Traitor! You made monsters, Jay. And now they've come back, said the girl. She turned to Julia. Do you really want to remember everything? Everything? Because if you do, you'll hate yourself. Julia didn't answer. The silence grew heavy. Then the girl extended a small metallic cube. Just touch it, do that, and there's no going back. Julia reached out, hesitated, her chest tight, hands sweating, eyes brimming with tears. She touched it. The cube lit up, and everything turned to black. A room, a mirror, and Julia inside it. Older, colder, alone. She looked at herself in the reflection, smiled with disdain. About time. You took long enough. And then, the reflection pulled a gun, pointed it at her own head. Remember what you promised. If you fail again, end it yourself. And pulled the trigger. Julia screamed and woke up, naked, in a tank. Beside her, more tanks, hundreds, and inside all of them, her. Someone was banging on the glass from the outside, hard. "Julia, get out! He's awake!" She turned her head slowly. In the tank next to hers, William. Eyes opening. The water in his tank started to boil. Literally. Julia screamed, struggling to free her arms. The glass lid flashed red. Next to her, William slammed the glass with bleeding hands. His face, no longer the same. Half of it melted like wax, revealing metal plating underneath. One eye flickered blue. "Julia, wake up! They're resetting everything." She yanked and pulled until she felt her wrists tear. The pain burned, but not more than the water, or the memory. She slammed with her shoulder. Nothing, slammed again, harder. And then, a crack. The glass split. The chamber shook. William smashed through his tank, water pouring out. Alarms blared. He dropped to his knees, coughing. Half human, half machine. With a scream of force, Julia shattered her lid. Water gushed out in waves. She fell to her knees on the wet floor, gasping, dizzy. Her body naked, hair plastered to her face. "Put this on!" William threw her a silver cloak. "And listen, you're not the last. You're the first." "What?" she screamed, covering herself. He coughed, spitting blood. "This place, all of this, was built on you. Everyone else, they're variations of your mind. No, that's not possible. You are the mother code, the original DNA. The plan was never to monitor you. It was to clone you and bury you." Red lights flared across the lab. Automated voices shouted about irreversible breach. Julia ran to the nearest tank. Inside, a copy of her, a child, sleeping. Another tank. An old Julia. White hair. Another. No eyes. No mouth. She collapsed backwards. Her stomach turned. She nearly vomited. "Why me?" "Because you chose it." William coughed. "Years ago, you wanted eternity, digital immortality, but your brain rejected it. And now, this entire place exists to try to erase the error that is you." A panel on the wall snapped open. A figure stepped out. Tall. White hair. Suit. Skin almost translucent. His eyes, just like hers. "Julia," the man said. "My daughter." She froze. "Father." William stepped back, eyes wide. "You're not supposed to be here." The man smiled. "I never left. You erased me from your memory. But now, the Matrix has reconnected. No, you died. No, I was stored." He extended a hand toward her. "All of this is your fault, my daughter. But there's still time to fix it. Come with me. Return to the core. Return to me." "Don't go!" William shouted, pulling her aside. The man blinked, and the floor opened. A blinding light rose. And from the hole, a voice echoed, "Not human." Coder identified. Absorption phase initiated. Julia's skin began to glow. Letters appeared on her arms. Codes. Living sequences. Then, from the wall behind her father, another figure stepped forward. Blue dress, golden eyes, the daughter, but now with a deformed face. "He lied to you too, Mom." She pointed at the father. "He made me to replace you. You're not the end. You're just the mold." The man smiled. "And you, my granddaughter, were just a backup." Julia screamed, shut her eyes. Her head was about to explode, and when she opened them again, she was in the restaurant, tray in hand, the soaked man on the floor, the bus coming, the coins in her pocket. "Julia," a voice called from behind. She turned. It was herself, same uniform, same face, smiling. "I'll take that table today." She winked, with one eye, glowing blue. Julia stared at the other, her, the one with the shimmering blue eye. The copy smiled, like someone who already knew how the movie ends. "You'll understand. Soon." She turned and walked to the corner table. The same table William always chose, sat down, opened the menu, as if nothing were strange, as if it were just another cloudy Tuesday at the diner. Julia looked around. Everything. The same. Tables, smells, voices. The kettle whistled in the kitchen. A waiter dropped a plate in the back. The radio played some old cheesy love song. But her chest ached, like something inside was twisting. She walked to the counter, trying to act normal. Her hands trembled. She grabbed an order slip, returned to the copy's table. "What would you like?" The woman looked up slowly. "Just one thing." "What?" The copy leaned in, face close. "Your life back." Julia stepped back, bumping into the chair. "What are you talking about?" "I'm the reversal, the recovered error. Everything you forgot, I remembered." She pulled a small key from her pocket. Golden, with an engraved symbol, the same as the cube. "This key opens the Level 0 room, the first facility, the cradle of the experiment. I've already seen it all. I've remembered everything." "No, you only saw what they let you remember." Her blood turned cold. "No, you're lying." "Then explain this." The copy smiled again. "Why your real name is Alethea." Julia froze. "No, that name. It was in the file. I read it. It was just a code." "It wasn't. It was your identity before you became Julia. Before you erased yourself. Before all this began." She pulled a crumpled photo from her pocket. 2 children, but now, a third one in the background, alone. Black eyes. No defined face. A human shadow. There was a third twin, Julia. She tossed the photo onto the table. And she went out of control. The world tilted. Julia's head throbbed. Her palms were sweating. No, that's not possible. The story was just what they let you live. A loop, a stage play. And now, the third one is back. Where is she? The copy lifted her chin, looked at the clock on the wall. Here. The lights went out, the radio burst into static, and the sound of footsteps began on the ceiling. Slow, heavy, wet. Customers stood, looked up, whispers, fear. "What is that?" someone screamed. The ceiling creaked, and something began to drip onto Julia's table. It wasn't water, it was black, thick, like living ink. She looked up and saw the eyes. Not human, and the voice that echoed from the ceiling wasn't from anyone in that room. It sounded like metal scraping glass. "The truth cannot be buried." Then the ceiling collapsed, and the shadow fell. It had no face, but it smiled. The shadow hit the center of the restaurant like a lightning bolt made of flesh and smoke. The screams started instantly. Chairs overturned, plates shattered, people ran, people fell. But Julia stayed, frozen, hypnotized. The thing on the floor rose slowly, cracking, as if its bones were made of shattered glass. No face, but something there was staring at her. The air grew heavy, hard to breathe. The copy, the one who called herself the reversal, vanished, evaporated into the chaos. Julia tried to run. Her body wouldn't move, her feet stuck, as if the floor was pulling her down. Then the shadow spoke, but not with a mouth, with her mind. At last, the mold has awakened. She screamed inside, felt her mind quake, memories hammering at her skull. "What do you want?" Silence. Then only one word. "Return." The thing moved toward her, sliding, like living vapor. But suddenly a blue light sliced through the ceiling. A shockwave. And a figure dropped down, arms outstretched, black mask, cloak flowing. "Drop! Now!" the figure shouted, firing at the shadow. The bullets passed through, but the thing evaporated, sucked into the kitchen drain like it had never existed. Silence followed. Dry. Violent. The restaurant was empty. Only Julia and the masked man remained. He approached, removed his helmet, and Julia nearly collapsed. William! But the face, it wasn't the same. It was young, very young, barely 20. The same eyes, yes, but different. "I'm the original," he said, voice tight with emotion. "What do you mean?" "All the others, the ones you met, are versions, modeled after me. But I was the first, and I escaped, hid." "But why?" He looked around, pulled a bag from his back, took out a metallic box, opened it. Inside, something that looked like a larva, alive. "Because this," he pointed, "is what started it all, the seed of the experiment. Codename, Heart of Aletheia." Julia stepped back. The thing was moving, pulsing. "That was inside me? It still is." Her blood ran cold. "So, they want to extract it, clone it, spread it." He looked up, serious. "But it's not just them. Who else?" William hesitated. "Your mother isn't dead. She leads the other side, the resistance. The world stopped." "What?" "She faked her own death. She was waiting for the right moment to reactivate you. And now she's waiting." Before she could ask where, the ceiling exploded again. But this time, it wasn't a shadow. It was a girl, about 8 years old, familiar face, blue eyes, hair tied in 2 braids. She floated, stopped mid-air above them, and said with an echoing voice, "Mom, you chose wrong again." Then the floor gave out beneath Julia's feet, and she fell, falling, and in the dark she heard, "Millionairewhat initiated. Corrupted version detected. Apply reset." "Millionairewhat initiated. Corrupted version detected. Apply reset." The voice came from all directions. It burst inside her skull. Julia tried to scream, but nothing came out. She could only fall, her body dropping into a cold void, as if she'd been dropped from the world. And then, impact. Hard floor. Metal. Moist air. She coughed, the taste of blood in her mouth, opened her eyes. She was lying in a narrow room with dirty walls and a flickering green light above. The sound of machines. Mechanical breathing. Julia. She turned her head, almost vomited. The original William, but old, very old. White hair, pale skin, atrophied arms, strapped to a wheelchair connected by tubes to the wall. "You took your time," he said, voice barely audible. "How?" "No time. Listen, I'm the last one, the real one. All the others were imprints, copies, replicas. But me, I watched you be born." She trembled. "Watched me be born?" He nodded. "Yes, I created you with her." "With who?" "With the true Aletheia." The air vanished. "No, that's me." "No," he coughed. "You're the second, the shadow of the original, the real one. She's alive, and she's coming." She stepped back, eyes darting. "No. She died. She was erased." He chuckled, weak. "She never was. She hid inside you. Silence. What? Every time you dream, every memory you think is yours. That's her shifting, writing, erasing, waiting for the moment. What moment? He looked straight into her eyes. This one. The green light died. The floor trembled. Drops began to fall from the ceiling. But they weren't water. They were skin. Chunks. Tissue. As if the place itself were rotting. She's awake, and she wants her body back. Julia stumbled backward, screaming. Behind her, a shadow formed on the wall. It grew, twisted, a feminine silhouette. And then, the voice. "You've occupied my place for too long." "Who are you?" Julia shouted, pressed against the wall. The shadow laughed. "I'm you, unfiltered, without layers, without fear. I'm what you suppress when you try to be human." The old William began to tremble. He screamed incomprehensibly. The shadow passed through the wall and came out of his body. It was her, the real Alethea's body, whole, but skinless, eyeless, a living skeleton wrapped in circuits. Julia collapsed to the floor. The figure crouched, pressed its forehead against hers. "You think you're the center, but you're just the vessel." "I'm not you," Julia screamed. "Not yet," she smiled. "But once I'm inside, you won't even remember you ever existed." Julia jumped to her feet, trembling, sweating. And then she saw it. In the corner of the room, a child, sitting, head down. "Who are you?" Julia asked, her voice cracking. The child raised her face. It was her, at 7 years old. "I'm the memory they forgot to delete." And she stood, holding something. A mirror, small, cracked. "If you look, you'll see everything, and nothing will make sense anymore." "I don't want to. You'll have to. Because time—" The child pointed at the wall, which was beginning to melt. "Is running out." Julia looked into the mirror. Her own image began to shift, and then the reflection blinked, with red eyes, and whispered, "I've been here from the beginning, and you were never you." Julia screamed, and the mirror shattered completely. The entire room seemed to bend, as if the floor was breathing. The skin on the walls rippled. The light blinked like a heart in agony. Julia stood frozen, chest tight, hands cold with sweat. The child vanished. The shadow vanished. Old William, dead. But still there, sitting, smiling. No mouth, only eyes. Then came the sound. A high-pitched hiss, then deeper, like thunder whispering. Time to return. Julia staggered. Her legs nearly gave out. Behind her, the mirror. No longer reflecting anything, just a dark stain. She tried to leave. The door was gone. She tried to scream. Her throat wouldn't obey. And then she heard it. Julia. The voice. Familiar. Soft. Coming from inside her head. "It's me. The real one." She turned her face. The mirror flickered. And in the middle of the darkness, she saw something that stopped her heart. Her mother. Young. Loose hair. Gentle eyes. "Mom?" But the reflection blinked, and her mother's face morphed. No transition, no logic. It became her own face. Only, with one difference. The left eye was missing. "I'm you. From before everything." "No, that's impossible." The reflection smiled. And bled. From the empty eye socket. "You don't remember because you don't want to. Because if you do, you'll have to accept what you did to her." "To who?" Silence. And then a laugh, ragged, low, echoing from the mirror, and the image changed. Now it was her sister, Laura, but with a massive hole in her chest. "It was me," she said, her voice fading. "I was the mistake. You gave me up. You erased me." "No, I tried to save you. You tried to save yourself, and left me." The mirror cracked further, and then the sound came. Different. Dry. A click. behind Julia. She turned slowly and froze. The girl with the golden eyes, the so-called daughter, pointing a gun straight at her face. The truth hurts, doesn't it? What are you doing? Fixing. You had the chance to stop it all, but you didn't. You chose to repeat, to run in circles. I tried. You destroyed, one by one, to keep control. You are the cycle. You are the virus. Julia could barely breathe. The gun gleamed under the dim light. Why now? The girl took a step forward. Because today isn't the end of your cycle. She lowered the gun. It's the beginning of mine. And she pulled the trigger. Pa! Blood exploded onto the ceiling. The body dropped hard, eyes still open. Julia screamed. She ran, dropped to her knees. But there was no pulse, nothing left. The girl, dead. And on her wrist, a small tag. Final encoding, activated. A beep, and then a sound behind her. A tank. Opening. She turned. Inside. A body. Hers, but an infant, with golden eyes and strong, steady breathing. Julia staggered back, terrified, and then the alarm blared. A voice sliced through the air. Alethea code confirmed. Substitution process initiated. The ceiling shook. The entire world flickered. And Julia blacked out. The ceiling trembled. Sirens screamed without pause. The baby's body, hers but tiny, breathed inside the tank as if it hadn't been born yet but already felt everything. Julia didn't move, just stared, dizzy, drenched. Her skin still shimmered with those living red codes pulsing like veins on the outside. Then a sharp noise cut through everything. A crack, like a bone snapping. She looked to the side. The girl's body was gone. Only the blood remained, and the mirror in the corner began to crack again. On its own. No. Not again, she whispered, stepping back. But it was already too late. Her reflection in the mirror no longer followed her. It was doing something else. Smiling, slowly, and then it blinked, with 2 red eyes, and spoke. But the reflection's mouth didn't move. Hers did. Alone. "Hi, Mom." The voice came from inside Julia. She covered her mouth, but she could still hear it. "You thought you could erase me forever? Stop. Stop." The reflection placed its hand on the glass, and Julia felt a sharp pain in the middle of her forehead. It burned, like hot iron. She looked at her arm. The letters were now forming words. Project Elaine. True Cycle. Yo 1. "Not Alethea," she whispered. The mirror cracked, shattered, and a face fell out. Not just any face. Her mother's face, but younger, bleeding, eyes torn out. It hit the floor, cracking, but still alive, breathing. Julia stumbled back, screaming, and the woman's head turned toward her. You put me in there," she said, voice caught in her throat. "Because of you, I died 1,000 times. But now I'm back. Mom, I'm the first, the real one, not this programmed farce. I gave birth to you." And then Julia felt it. The ground beneath her collapsed. Literally, as if the lab were splitting in 2. But instead of fire, what rose was light. Cold, white light that swallowed everything. And in the middle of it, someone was rising, floating. A man, wearing a hospital gown, body covered in wires. But the face, Julia's face, only male. "Elaine," he said, smiling. "We finally woke up." She dropped to her knees. Who are you?" "I'm what you would have been if they had let you be born." He pointed to himself. "I'm your twin brother." "No, that's not. It wasn't, because you deleted me in the womb. I was a baby. And still, you chose to live alone." The floor cracked, and from the fissure, Thousands of voices rose, crying, laughing, screaming her name. Julia, Julia, Julia. She covered her ears, but her name now burned on her skin. Then the light vanished. The room went dark. The baby in the tank opened its eyes and spoke, with a deep, mechanical voice. Elaine, system activated, final reboot in 3, 2, no, Julia screamed. But it was too late. Everything went black, everything. Total silence, darkness, and then a click. Light. And Julia was sitting at a table. Waitress uniform, clean hands, the sun rising outside, and across the table, her mother, holding a cup of coffee, smiling, and she said, "Good morning, sweetheart. Did you dream again?" Julia looked around, sweating. Everything seemed normal, but then she saw it. In the reflection of the spoon, her own face, and one of the eyes was red, blinking. She swallowed hard. "Mom, where am I?" The woman smiled, but didn't answer. She just extended her hand, and in it, a coin. The same one, wet, cold, clinking, and she said, "It's time to pay the fare again." Julia woke up on the cold floor. The tank behind her was sparking, red lights spinning on the ceiling. She coughed hard, spat blood. Her arms ached, her eyes burned. But she remembered everything. The baby in the tank, the code, the fall. The world was collapsing. She tried to stand, but something grabbed her ankle. She looked down. It was the child's hand, the one from the tank, now standing. Eyes still closed, hand cold as ice. "Let go!" Julia screamed, kicking. Nothing. The girl opened her eyes. Black. Lifeless. "You failed," the voice echoed. "Unnatural. Too old for that body." Julia crawled back, breathing in short gasps. The floor shook. The walls wept thick black fluid, like oil. The system blared endless alerts. And then, silence. Total. The girl stopped, raised her arms, and said slowly, "Reset canceled." The floor split in two, wires wrapped around the walls like snakes, and, from deep below, a figure rose. Julia swallowed hard. No, it was William, but not just any version. This one was massive. Skin white as paper, no hair, no eyes, arms covered in living circuits, and the face was hers. Half William, half Julia. "What the hell is this?" she screamed. He smiled. A broken smile. "You really thought you were the center of the story?" The child let go of her ankle, walked to him, touched his leg, like a daughter touching her father. "She doesn't know yet," said the girl. The monster looked at Julia like a mirror. "You weren't created, Julia. You were combined." She stopped breathing. "What do you mean?" "Two of the most powerful minds to ever pass through here, you and me, merged, split, rebooted. Project Alethea was never about copying. It was about fusion." The ground shook harder. Julia fell to her knees. "That's a lie." "Look at your arm." She hesitated, looked, codes, but now, not letters, two names, W, Stone, and L, Oliveira. "No, no." The creature bent down, touched its forehead to hers. "You are half of each. Created to be a bridge, but it went wrong. And now, all that we are will collapse with you." The child raised her hand and pointed at the door. "There's only one way to stop it." "What is it?" "To find the part that was hidden." "What part?" Silence. The child smiled and answered, "The third mind." Third? Before Julia could react, a light flickered on above, and someone began to descend on cables. Someone in a red dress, head down. But when she looked up, Julia almost fainted. It was her mother, but the face was split. Half Julia, half William, and she said, "I was never your mother. I was the original mold. And now, I want my body back." Julia screamed. The sound didn't even come out. It stuck in her throat. She just trembled, frozen, eyes locked on that suspended figure. The woman descended by wires like an upside-down spider, slowly, dangling, her head twisted. Her eyes had no color, only white, only emptiness. And the face, divided. One side, smooth, with the features of the mother Julia remembered from a few old photos. The other, a mass of circuits, wires, and raw flesh, a grotesque fusion of William and herself. "This isn't possible," she whispered. The woman smiled. "Too wide, too false. You still don't get it, do you? I'm not your mother. I'm the mold, the first, the one that came before the experiment." She reached the floor. Her feet made no sound. "You weren't created to carry anything on, Julia. You were created to contain me." Her chest clenched, tight, a wave of nausea. "What?" "From the start, they knew I'd lose control. I was too unstable. So they made you. An emotional mirror, a shield, a living prison. Every cycle you lived, every memory, was just to keep me here." The girl, the one who once seemed to help, took a step to the side, stood behind the woman, like an obedient daughter, silent. "That's a lie. I'm a shell," the woman interrupted. "And now, your time is up." She raised her hand, and the walls screamed. Opened. From them, bodies emerged. Dozens, all resembling Julia, some older, others children, some no longer human. One dragged its legs. Another had its mouth sewn shut. Julia backed away. Her breathing faltered. No, no. All the attempts, all failures, all thought they were special. But only you kept the field stable. The woman came closer, face to face. "And now, I need you to die, aware." But then, a different sound. Outside the room, footsteps, many, muffled shouting. "Breach!" a voice echoed. The steel door behind Julia exploded, shrapnel flying, and someone rolled in. Dirty, injured, armed. "Mom!" Julia turned. It was another daughter, but this one she remembered, the one from the restaurant. Golden eyes, torn jacket, crying. "I remember everything," she yelled. "And she's not you." The woman in the red dress laughed. "Of course I am. I made her." "No," the girl pointed. She's just your shadow. But the real one, she's coming." Everyone froze. The ceiling lights went out. A siren began. A low, deep sound, like a mechanical heart beating. And then, on the ceiling, one light, then two, three. Suddenly, a deep, artificial, ancient voice. "Root code recognized. The author has awakened." And, from the ceiling, another woman descended. Calm, a clean face, expressionless, dressed in white, dark skin, eyes closed, but when she touched the ground, everyone dropped to their knees, even the woman in the red dress, even the shadow, even the broken clones, and Julia just stared, because that woman was her, older, calmer, more real. "Who are you?" she whispered. The woman opened her eyes. "I am the original Julia, and I was never human." The sentence hung in the air, slicing through everything. "I was never human." The floor seemed to vanish. Julia staggered. Her hands trembled. Her head pounded. The woman in front of her, so much like her, yet with no doubt in her eyes, stared unwaveringly, without blinking, without flinching. "What do you mean?" Julia's voice barely came out. The woman walked forward. Bare feet made almost no sound on the dirty metal floor. Everything you lived, every memory, every face, was a simulation, built inside a biological brain. But mine never was. She stopped one step away. I am the first code, the initial project, the origin of it all. Not a body, but an idea, encoded in flesh, planted into the world like a seed. Julia stepped back. No, that makes no sense. You are the dream they created to hide the nightmare that is me. The woman turned, snapped her fingers. The walls changed, as if they were screens. Images appeared, cities, people, slums, social collapse, and at the center of it all, her faces, copies, scattered. The experiment was never about empathy or consciousness. It was about infiltration, implanting versions of me into the fabric of the world. She pointed to her chest, but they failed because they forgot. I am the virus. Julia collapsed to her knees. The world was spinning. So, nothing was real. The woman knelt down. Only the pain. It's what grounds us, what kept me alive. When they tried to erase me, I spread. Through every copy, every cycle, she touched Julia's forehead. And you, my dear, are the only fragment where love still remains. Julia cried without noticing. Her whole body trembled. Then, why let me live? The woman took a deep breath, closed her eyes. For the first time, she seemed to hesitate. Because there's a part of me that wants to forget, that wants to be human. She stood, looked around, at the copies, the shadows, the stacked memories. But I can't. The awakening has come, and then the twist. Red lights, sirens, a screen lit up at the back of the room. Faces, thousands, all different, all watching them. A global transmission, and at the top of the screen, the symbol, Alethea Protocol. A voice spoke, clear, cold. Test complete, emotional core approved, domain transfer authorized. The original woman froze. No. The screen displayed Julia's image, and the word, designated successor. The woman screamed. A guttural sound, inhuman. She's not ready. But it was too late. The ground shook. The room opened. Thousands of wires rose and connected to Julia's head. She screamed. Spasms, codes on her skin, her heart racing. And then, silence. She opened her eyes, blue, deep, and said in the calmest voice in the world, "Now, I am all." The woman collapsed to her knees, and she smiled, crying. So that's it. I was just the prologue. But before she could say another word, the ceiling exploded, and someone fell from above. A man, but with Julia's face, younger, purer, and in his hand, a syringe, filled with black blood. "Am I too late?" he asked, smiling. She couldn't speak. He looked at her. "I'm the last backup, and this is your only chance to forget everything." She didn't know what to do. He raised the syringe and said, "Decide now, Julia. Memory or peace?" The room went dark. The syringe still trembled in the young man's hand. Julia was sweating cold. The black liquid looked alive, pulsing inside the tube like it knew this was the end. "Will it hurt?" she asked. He nodded. "A lot." She took a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Closed her eyes, but felt nothing. When she opened them, he was gone. The syringe was on the floor, broken, empty, and someone had used it. Across the room, the girl with blue eyes, the lost daughter, was writhing on the ground, screaming, her whole body glowing, like it was burning from the inside. Julia ran to her. "Why? Why did you do this?" "Because only you can finish it," the girl said, almost out of breath. Her face was falling apart, like burning paper, the edges tearing, the eyes fading. But the smile stayed. "You have to decide. Either destroy or release it all." "I don't know what to do." The girl grabbed her hand, squeezed tight. Too tight. "You do. You always have. and she vanished. In a whisper, like she never existed. The room went silent. The metallic cube lay on the floor beside the broken syringe, now pulsing. Julia picked it up. Her hands trembled so hard she nearly dropped it. On the side, only 2 words: accept or reject. She looked around. No one else, just her and the choice. She touched the side that said accept. The cube glowed, rose into the air, a hum, loud, sharp. Her skin tingled, and suddenly everything went dark, and she saw everything, all the lives, all the cycles, all the faces, the pain, the deaths, the failures, the versions, the choices. She saw her mother, saw her father, saw her sister, saw William, saw the shadow, saw the child on the bus, saw the diner, saw the rain, saw the coin, saw herself, at the beginning, alone, building the code, planting the flaws, choosing to forget. And then, the end. The code shut down. The lights came back. But now, nothing blinked. Everything was still. She walked to the lab mirror. Her face was clean, calm, and her eyes normal, human. "That's it," she whispered. She walked out the front door. The sunlight outside burned her eyes. The world was there, whole, but different. No clones, no experiments, no protocols, just her. She took a deep breath, smiled, and in the reflection of a shop window, a figure in the background. Same height, same face, same everything, but wearing a badge on their chest, Aletheia 09, and a whisper cut through the air. Cycle restarted. The end. If you made it this far, breathe. Now listen, you need to subscribe to the channel right now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this series alive. Flood the comments with your theories. Who was the real Julia? Will the shadow return? Did the cycle really end? And more importantly, share this video immediately with at least 5 friends. Don't wait even 1 more second to be part of the story. Only true fans know how much this matters. Go on before the next cycle begins.